When HR called me in that morning, I thought it was about the biggest contract of my career. We had just closed a deal worth over $2 million. I had spent months on it. Late nights, endless calls, everything. So when they said, "Daniel, can you come to the conference room?" I didn't think twice. I walked in and immediately felt something was off. Two people from HR were already there, and someone from legal. No one smiled. No one offered coffee. That's when I knew this wasn't about business. One of them looked at me and said, "Daniel, we've received a formal complaint." I remember nodding slowly, still thinking this was some kind of misunderstanding. Then she said the word, "harassment." And just like that, everything stopped. The complaint came from a 27-year-old employee. Her name was Claire. She had joined the company less than a year ago. We barely spoke. A few meetings, some emails. That was it. But according to the report, I had made her feel uncomfortable. I had crossed boundaries. I sat there, trying to process what I was hearing. None of it made sense. Not a single word. I asked them, "Do you have any proof?" They looked at each other, and then said something I'll never forget. "We're investigating." By the end of that day, I was suspended. Just like that. No warning. No chance to defend myself. My access was revoked. My email was locked. My name quietly removed from ongoing projects. 28 years in that company. And I was out in a single afternoon. When I got home, Rebecca was sitting in the kitchen. She didn't look surprised. That was the first thing that felt wrong. She just looked at me and said, "They called me." I froze. Who? Someone from the company. That hit harder than anything else that day. I hadn't even processed what was happening, and somehow she already knew. I tried to explain, tried to tell her it wasn't true, that something was off, but she didn't react the way I expected. No shock, no anger, no support, just silence. And then she said, "Daniel, maybe they're not wrong." That was the moment everything changed. Not the accusation, not the suspension, not even the possibility of losing my career. It was that sentence, "After 25 years of marriage." That's what she chose to believe. The investigation dragged on for weeks. No one spoke to me. Colleagues I had known for decades stopped answering my calls. Some even blocked me. It was like I had already been judged, already found guilty. And then, Laura filed for divorce. No discussion, no attempt to fix anything. Just papers. And it didn't take long for the truth to start showing itself. Not the real truth, but enough to break what was left of me. She wasn't alone. There was someone else. At first, I tried to let it go. I told myself the company would figure it out, that the truth would come out, that someone, anyone, would look at the facts. But days turned into weeks, and nothing changed. No updates, no answers, just silence. So I started going over everything in my head. Every conversation, every meeting, every interaction with Claire. I replayed it all, again and again, looking for something I might have missed, something I could have done wrong. But there was nothing, nothing even close to what they were accusing me of. And that's when something shifted. Because if I didn't do anything, then why me? I started thinking about timing, the deal, the promotion that was coming, the position I was about to step into. Vice president. After almost 3 decades, I was finally there. And then suddenly, I wasn't. That's when I stopped asking, "What did I do?" and started asking, "Who benefits?" I made a list, just a few names at first. People who had something to gain if I was out of the picture. People who had been just a little too quiet. One name kept coming back. Ethan Cole. Ethan had joined the company 5 years ago. Sharp, ambitious, always watching. The kind of guy who smiles, but never shows you what he's thinking. We had worked together on several projects. And recently, he had been unusually interested in the deal I was leading. Asking questions, wanting updates, pushing to be more involved. At the time, I thought he was just being proactive. Now, I wasn't so sure. Then I remembered something else. Claire didn't report to me directly. She worked in a different department, which meant there was no real reason for her to interact with me that often. Unless someone put her there. That thought didn't sit right, but I couldn't ignore it anymore. So I started digging. Quietly, carefully, I reached out to an old colleague, someone I trusted. He still had access to internal systems. Nothing illegal, just information I no longer had. Emails, meeting logs, project assignments. And that's when I saw it. Claire had been reassigned to a project 2 weeks before the complaint. The project I was leading, and the person who approved that reassignment, was Ethan. I stared at the screen for a long time, trying to process what I was seeing. This wasn't random. This wasn't coincidence. This was planned. But I still didn't understand one thing. Why would she go along with it? And then, something even worse came up. My friend hesitated before telling me. I could hear it in his voice, like he wasn't sure if he should say it. But he did. Daniel, there's something else. I felt my chest tighten. What is it? He paused, then said, I think I've seen her before. Claire. Yeah. Where? Another pause. Longer this time. At a restaurant. With Ethan. I didn't tell Rebecca right away. About Ethan. About Claire. About what I had found. Not because I wanted to hide it, but because something didn't feel right. That night, the house felt different. Too quiet. Too careful. Rebecca was in the living room, scrolling through her phone, like nothing had changed. I stood there for a moment, just watching her, trying to understand something I couldn't explain yet. Everything okay? She asked, without even looking up. That used to be normal. Now it wasn't. Yeah, I said. Just tired. She nodded, still not looking at me, and that's when I noticed it. She was smiling. Not a big smile, just something subtle, like she was reading something she liked. I walked past her slowly, tried not to make it obvious, but I looked. A name flashed on the screen, just for a second. I stopped. Who's that? I asked, trying to sound casual. She locked the phone immediately. No one, she said. Just a friend. A friend. I nodded, but something in my chest tightened. Because Rebecca didn't have just friends. Not like that. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about everything. The reassignment. Ethan. Claire. And now that message. At around 2 a.m. I heard something. A door. Closing careful. I got up and walked quietly down the hallway. And then I saw it. The front door, closing. Rebecca stood there, her back to me. She didn't hear me. She slowly locked the door, then turned. For a second, we just looked at each other. She froze. Where were you? I asked. She hesitated, just for a moment. Couldn't sleep, she said. Went outside for some air. At 2 a.m., I didn't respond, just nodded. But something had changed. The next morning, she was different. Too calm, too normal, like she was trying a little too hard. And that's when I realized something. I wasn't just being investigated at work. Something was happening inside my own house. And I had no idea how deep it went. The next few days I stopped reacting, at least on the outside. At work, I stayed quiet, answered questions, followed procedures, did everything they asked. But inside, I was watching, listening, waiting. I needed proof. Not feelings, not guesses. Proof. My friend called me again late afternoon. I found something, he said. I stepped outside. Didn't want anyone hearing this. What is it? There are security logs. My heart started beating faster. From the office? Yeah. He paused, then said, You weren't even there. I froze. What do you mean? The time she claims the incident happened, you had already left the building. Silence. I leaned against the wall and closed my eyes. So it's false, I said quietly. It's worse than that, he replied. That got my attention. There's footage, he said. Not from your floor, but from the parking garage. I didn't breathe. You and Claire never even crossed paths that evening. That was it. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was built. Carefully. Deliberately. Send it to me, I said. I can't, he replied. Not officially. Of course. But I saw enough, he added. That was enough for me too. Because now, I knew where to look next. That night, I didn't say anything. Rebecca was in the kitchen again. Like always. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Long dead? She asked. Yeah. I watched her as she moved. Every step. Every gesture. Trying to see something that had always been there, but I never noticed. Later, when she went upstairs, I stayed behind. Waited until I heard the shower running. That's when I moved. I picked up her phone. My hands felt heavy, like I already knew what I was going to find. The screen lit up. Locked. Of course. I hesitated, then tried something simple. Our anniversary? Wrong. Her birthday? Wrong. I stared at the screen, thinking. And then, I tried something else. A date. The day I was called into HR. The screen unlocked. My stomach dropped. I opened her messages. Scrolled, and there it was. A thread, saved under a single letter. E. I opened it. The first few messages looked normal. Casual. Careful. But then, they changed. Did he suspect anything? My chest tightened. No, she replied. He still trusts me. I couldn't move, but I kept reading. We need to be careful, he wrote. Once this is done, everything changes. My hands started shaking. And then I saw a message from 2 weeks ago. The complaint is filed. Followed by, he won't see it coming. I felt something break inside me. Not loudly. Not all at once. Just quietly. Like something collapsing in slow motion. And then, the last message. From her. When this is over, I'm leaving him. I stood there. In my own house. Holding her phone. Reading words that were never meant for me. And in that moment, everything became clear. This wasn't just about my job. It wasn't just about a lie. This was my life. Being taken apart, piece by piece. I didn't confront her right away. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But I didn't. Because anger wouldn't help me now. Clarity would. So I put the phone back, exactly where I found it. The next morning I acted normal. Same routine, same tone, same silence. Rebecca didn't notice anything. Or maybe, she thought she was still in control. That part didn't matter anymore. What mattered was what I was going to do next. I made one call. Not to HR. Not yet. I called to a lawyer and told him everything. The accusation. The messages. The names. There was a long pause. Then he said, "Do nothing impulsive." "I won't," I replied. "Good," he said, "because if what you're saying is true, this isn't just misconduct. This is conspiracy." That word stayed with me. Conspiracy. That afternoon, I requested a formal meeting. HR, legal, executive board. If they wanted to investigate me, then we were going to investigate everything. The meeting was scheduled for Friday. 3 days. 3 days of silence. 3 days of pretending. 3 days of watching someone I thought I knew live a completely different life. Friday came. I walked into that room with something I hadn't felt in weeks. Control. Ethan was there. Of course he was. Calm. Confident. Like a man who believed. This was already over. Rebecca wasn't there. But in a way, she was. In every word I was about to say. HR started first. "Daniel, thank you for coming." I nodded. Then I spoke. "I'd like to add evidence to this investigation." That changed the room. People shifted in their seats. Ethan didn't. Not yet. I placed my phone on the table, opened the messages, and turned the screen toward them. Silence. I didn't rush. Let them read. Line by line. Word by word. You could feel it. The shift, confusion, then tension, then something heavier. HR looked at Ethan. This needs to be explained. For the first time, he hesitated. Just slightly. It's taken out of context, he said. Of course it was. I nodded, then added, there's more. And I told them about the logs, the timeline, the fact that I wasn't even there. Now the room wasn't quiet anymore. Now it was controlled chaos. Questions, documents, phones. Ethan started talking faster. That calm confidence was gone. And in that moment, I saw it. Not the man I worked with. The man who thought he could replace me, but underestimated me. The meeting ended abruptly. They told me to wait. So I did. Not nervously, not anxiously, just patiently. Because for the first time I wasn't defending myself. I was watching the truth do its job. By the end of the day, everything changed. The complaint was dismissed immediately. A formal investigation was opened. Not into me, into them. Ethan was escorted out. Not quietly, not gracefully. Rebecca was waiting for me at home. Of course she was. She knew. The moment I walked in, she stood up. We didn't speak for a few seconds. Then she said, I can explain. I shook my head. No, I said, not anymore. That was it. No shouting, no drama. Because some things don't need volume. They just need truth. I filed for divorce the following week. Didn't argue. Didn't negotiate. Just closed the chapter. The company offered me my position back. A bigger one, actually. I declined. After everything that happened, I didn't want to go back. Not there. Not to that version of my life. Instead, I built something of my own. Smaller, simpler, but honest. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like mine.